All right. Hello, everyone. Hope you guys are doing fantastic this Wednesday. Can't believe it's already Wednesday. And for the first time in like a month, we finally have sunlight here in Northern California. It's been crazy, all this storms and things like that. If you've heard all the news, I'm not sure if you're here in Northern California news, wherever you are, but here we've had so much rain and we've had dams and spillways are falling apart here in Northern California, and there's probably hundreds of square miles that had to be evacuated a couple weeks ago, and probably again coming up here this next week. So it's been a little crazy. So I know some folks who have had to had actually move out of their house and evacuate, and luckily they're back in their house right now. But kind of a crazy time here in Northern California. So hopefully you guys are not experiencing that wherever you live. Hopefully your lakes and dams are not overflowing and threatening to flood everyone. so so it's kind of a weird time, but the sun's out, it's calm, it's a beautiful day, and it's a beautiful day for real estate. And I hope you guys are going through the training. I hope you guys are getting educated and you're enjoying it. As you know, there are some recent changes in the actual training website, the training center. So hopefully you have explored that. We got rid of some of the more complicated training video format. When we first started out, with our training program, we thought, okay, we're going to have the most interactive, the coolest, most futuristic sort of training platform other than, boring videos. Well, that kind of bit us in the rear because it was more hassle than probably what it was worth. And, things just did not work out right. And we had to find specific software to handle it, and it was just a big ordeal. So we've kind of gotten away from that. We moved back to more of the simple videos where you can just actually host it up on YouTube, which is great. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but it's very simple and very reliable. So, and you can pause and rewind and fast forward, and none of the clicking the next arrows and not having anything pop up. So no more browser issues. So hopefully you've taken a look at that and gone through the training. If you ever need to, if you've already taken the training on the old style and you want to kind of refresh yourself, it's not going to be quite the hassle that it was before. So hopefully this works out better for you guys. And if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. So looks like we've got we're getting some more people on here. So I guess let's go ahead and get started. Now I kind of wanted to change it up a little bit. Try to get more folks involved in this discussion. I really want this to be a discussion versus me just giving topics or lecturing or anything like that. So I want you to open up that questions pane and I want you to fire away at me, because I really want to help you guys with whatever challenges you're facing in your real estate business. Now, I did come from the residential world. I was with Keller Williams first, and then I actually transitioned to a KW Commercial, which was literally downstairs in the same office, and got started in commercial real estate and found a mentor, which is Steve Harper. The videos that you're watching. He's my mentor, and we decided to put this all together. So I understand the residential side of things, where most of you are probably coming from in transitioning into commercial. So I know the transition, I know the struggle, and some of the issues that kind of come up when you're trying to break into this commercial world. Because what you know is residential, and you're trying to use what you know, right? So you don't have to completely reinvent the wheel, and utilize what you know, gain some new skills to really master commercial. And there's just so many agents doing residential. There's like 1.1 million realtors and some change. And these are just members of the realtor organization, not necessarily all salespeople. And there's about 38,000 commercial realtors. Now, again, that doesn't really include, the CBREs and the TRI commercial and some of the bigger names, but a lot of those offices don't have the level of agents that the residential world has. So there's a lot less, there's fewer professionals is what I'm trying to get at here. So the game's a little different, but hopefully you guys are learning a lot of things in the training program. So if you've got any questions, shoot them over, and let's dive into some lead generation, because I know that's where most people struggle. That's where I struggle. That's where, that's just the thing. We all know, we can all learn the subject matter, but if we don't have clients, right, it doesn't matter what we know. It really doesn't, because if you're not able to, practice what you know, it doesn't really make you any money. So we want to make as much money as possible. We want those big commission checks. I've sold too many small little investment condos and investment houses, and put in so much time and effort into these little tiny deals where, it wouldn't even pay for a month's worth of expenses. So, when we're talking about commercial real estate, we're hopefully talking about high dollar real estate, and hopefully you're not dealing with, under $500,000 commercial properties. And sure, it depends on the market, but hopefully you're dealing in, above 500 grand in property value. Hopefully you're dealing in the 1 million range, or 2 million, or $5 million range, because now we're talking, $30,000 commissions to $100,000 commissions, for one deal. So the power that has to do one of these deals a year is outstanding. So what I would like to do is I'd kind of like to do a poll, and you can use the questions, questions pane, but I want to know, how many of you guys are still doing residential? Let me know right now. Enter it in there if you are doing commercial, or if you are doing residential, just say yes, residential, that's what I'm doing. I like to kind of figure out, are you guys purely doing commercial right now, or are you still doing both, or are you still just doing residential and you're still kind of trying to find and get your grasp into commercial? So do let me know real quick here. Maybe we can kind of see. Okay, so yes, residential, yes. Just commercial started out. Let me see here. Okay, bit residential. Really want to do commercial. Residential. Okay, so we're getting a lot of residential, and most likely you want to transition, hopefully, out of residential, or keep someone on your team to kind of hand off the residential deals, because you obviously don't want to turn business down, right? We still want to capitalize on business, but we don't want to just, we don't want to spend our time doing the low dollar activities where we could be spending our time doing the high dollar activities. That's where it really comes in. Started with a commercial group in the past few weeks. Perfect. Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay, cool. So we still got some folks doing residential. So what we want to do to really kickstart, if you're having trouble kickstarting with lead generation in commercial, I would say the first thing that you would want to do is recognize what is working for you right now in residential. Now, whether you are more of an introvert or an extrovert, it doesn't matter. I'm sure you have one or two or maybe more ways of lead generation that you're currently using for housing, right? That is working for you. And you probably have some others that you've tried that don't really work for you. Whether you're good at talking or you prefer emailing. I myself am more of an introvert, so I tried calling at one point. I tried calling people at one point. It's just not my strength. So I'm more of an introvert, more of a passive seeker of leads. I want people to come to me as opposed to me going out. But there's people of all different styles. So my point is, you probably have one or two techniques or methods that you're using right now in residential that are working that you can adopt into commercial. And maybe you just need a little bit of help with that little transition. Yes, Sylvia. I mean, open houses are one of those things that you can't really. I mean, yes, you can do it for a commercial, but it's very hard to do it for a commercial. That's something you can do if you have like a vacant space that's maybe for lease or for sale, and it's a brand new listing, and you can kind of try to get some business owners to come to that location. But that's one of those ones that just doesn't really apply. But if you still look at that same type of formula, which is really attraction, right? You're going somewhere where people are comfortable to come to you to talk to you. So what we want to do is, how can we engineer this for commercial? So for this particular example, I would say you still want people to come into the open house, right? So what if the open house is at your office? What if you held a commercial Q&A forum almost, where maybe you put some ads on Craigslist, or you run some Facebook ads, or you do something to draw people in. Maybe you have a client base already, and you say, hey, you know what? I've discovered this new opportunity of commercial. It can work great for both investors and business owners. I'm having a 1 hour an open forum sort of thing where you can ask commercial questions, and what I'm going to be doing is doing a quick presentation on some of the opportunities available in the market. And again, you're trying to attract people to what would essentially be like an open house, right? They're coming for some reason. And that's just one example, but what I want to drive at is whatever you're using right now in residential can be adopted into commercial. So, for example, when I was in residential, I was buying ad space. So I went on to Zillow, I went on to Trulia, and I purchased zip codes. And whether it was a featured agent on a property, or if it was actually a banner ad on Trulia at the time. Now it's probably different since I haven't seen them and haven't been on those websites in a few years, so it's a little different. But I imagine there's even more websites now where you can buy ad space. And I know a lot of agents here in my market of Sacramento, Roseville area, and the top agents who are getting a mass amount of online leads. I mean, they all have some level of advertising that they're doing on Zillow and Trulia and maybe even Homes.com, that sort of thing, for zip codes. And they are generating a whole lot of leads. And yeah, it's expensive, but what I'm saying is you can also do that for commercial. Now, there are some websites that you can advertise on. The main listing website, which is loopnet.com, and I'm sure you're familiar with that, they just released, I think it was about a year and a half ago, the ability to buy ads. And this was like a brand new thing in the commercial world. Residential, we've been doing it for 7-8 years or longer, buying targeted ad space, and it hasn't really been a thing for a commercial. But you can do the same thing in commercial, right? You can adopt the same strategy, but maybe you need a different. Obviously, you're going to need a little bit different message, right? You're going to have a different client base, or maybe it's the same client base. But either way, you can use some of these same things. So I would say, if you're a talker, right, you can still adapt calling into your plan. If you're an emailer, you can still email for business. If you're doing ads, right, if you're trying to attract people online or through any sort of media, you can adopt that same method, that same methodology, and just drop it into commercial. It really is. It really can be that easy. So whatever is working for you right now, I just want you to maybe have a piece of paper out and just start writing some ideas of what you're using right now that may be useful for a commercial. And if you're not sure, post in the questions box and let's discuss it. Again, I want this to be kind of an open forum. What I want to do, my real mission of this is to help engage you guys into taking action and start generating leads like today, right? If you're on the East Coast, it's maybe 2 2:30 in the afternoon. Maybe it's a little bit late to do certain things, but anyway, in the morning, right? Doesn't matter. I want you guys to start right now generating leads, because when you start generating leads and filling your pipeline, you will get business and you will start making money. I want this program to have a return on investment for you, right? Just going through a training program for the sake of going through a training program is purely for entertainment purposes. I don't want this to be entertainment. I want you guys to actually be making money and selling million dollar real estate. So that being said, okay, so I'm getting a couple questions here. Let's see. Okay, I'm seeing commercial properties for sale in my area, but unsure how to attract buyers for a property that is not my commercial listing. Okay, so you've got properties for sale in your area, so you want to attract buyers. You can advertise those listings, right? All you have to do when you're advertising someone else's listings is have a disclaimer at the bottom that says, Steve Walters is not the listing agent. A listing was gathered through online resource at loopnet.com. You have some sort of disclaimer at the bottom, and I can't remember if that's actually, it's probably not the right wording that you want to use, but there is wording for that. When I was selling residential, there was this common disclaimer. I'm not sure, it may be in one of the marketing downloads in the training center, but there is that disclaimer, that you put on your listing postcards. It says, this postcard or letter is not intended to solicit already listed properties, something like that. But you can design it to tailor that says, this is not the agent's, this is not Steve Walters' listings was gathered through source loopnet.com. If you just have that disclaimer, and you can, maybe you don't want to include a lot of their stuff, right? A lot of the other agents' marketing materials, but having the photo, a description, maybe you want to do address, maybe you don't want to do the address, but having maybe some bullet points and just having your disclaimer and say, commercial, you could send out a mailer that maybe has 3 hand-picked properties that you think are a good deal. So what you do is you send out a letter that says, hey, there's 3 properties in the market right now that I think are a good buy. Here are some details. If you have some questions or you want to discuss further, reach out to me at, Steve at straighttalkacademy.com, or give us a call, or visit our website, or go to our opt-in page and request and have it emailed to you. Whatever format you're working with, you can do that. So, and then we've used that. We've used that in our business before. We did a multifamily mailer. I think we did this particular mailer, it was about 3 years ago, for this one listing, and we sent out, I believe it was 50 letters, and it was a letter talking about apartment properties and how they're a good buy, and then on the second page actually had 4 listings, and it said current opportunities, and basically the page was broken down into 4 little segments, and each segment had a different property. It had the description, photo, description, price. Obviously something was left out so that they would call. But this garnered, I think it was about 5 or 6 responses out of 50 letters, which, in the direct mail world is like unheard of. But again, it was a targeted mailing list to other multifamily owners, and so they already have an interest, and they've already got their reticular activators going for multifamily properties if they are a multifamily property owner, right? So some messaging like that would work great for you, Sylvia. Okay. So the best way for you to start with lead generation is use a strategy that you're comfortable with right now. Now, obviously, we can only experience growth, right, if we get out of our comfort zone and do some other things. But we don't need to, for an introvert, I'm not going to say go to one networking event every day. I mean, that'll just wear you out, and nothing will be accomplished other than not feeling like you did a good job because as an introvert, we like to stand in the corner, something like that. But you've got some different options, so use what you're comfortable with. So one of the things that I want to share with you is low-cost, easy referrals that you can generate right now. So, and hopefully this won't even cost you anything. All this involves is talking with other agents in your office. Yeah, other agents in your office and getting them to refer you business. Because guess what? You do commercial real estate and they do not. But you have to share the opportunity with these agents. So what we did back when I was at KW Commercial is we kind of advertised to the 400 agents that were in the office that were doing residential. They didn't have a resource for commercial. They didn't know it was like a thing that they could make money on. They can make money on referring business to you, right? You pay them a referral fee. One of the things that we talk about is paying referral fees based upon the cold, warm, or hotness of the lead, right? So you can share different percentages of referral fees based upon the lead quality and the relevancy of that particular lead. So that's just one idea that you can use, but all you have to do is start with the people that you know at your office. I imagine if you're in an office, you probably have a dozen friends that are agents that you are fairly close with, and then you've got some another group of people that you kind of say hi to as you're walking by them in the office, and then you've got the other group where maybe you don't really see them. But start with that inner circle of your residential agents and talk to them about the opportunity that commercial has, and that if they come across someone who is a small business owner, who is an investor, who may have some sort of commercial real estate needs, to bring you into the conversation to help these folks make their commercial real estate decisions. So business owners, small business owners, or medium business owners, or business managers are usually in the conversation of expansion for their company. They're usually, obviously as a business owner, we're all concerned with growing, right? And some people are growing, and unfortunately some businesses are downsizing, and so there's always a need for different space requirements for any type of business or investors who are looking to grow their portfolios. And I know you guys know this one strategy because I've mentioned it all over the place, and it's basically getting your single-family home investors or your duplex, triplex, fourplex investors, getting them out of those particular properties and getting them into a commercial investment. So this strategy can be used, this could be your main source of business, is selling 1 to 4 units and purchasing commercial properties. Literally, that's all you really need to do. So what you can do is you can share this idea with other agents in your office, and eventually maybe you can branch out and reach other agents in other offices and show them the benefit of referring you commercial business. Because when you do this, it's a win-win for them, right? Because they don't have commercial on their mind, and so when something comes across as a commercial need, they really don't know what to do with it, and therefore nothing really happens. But if they think, when they come across a commercial lead, hey, you know what? I just talked to Robert last week about this. Wait, let me talk to this investor about this particular strategy, and pretty soon you have a group or an army of other agents out there talking about opportunity and you as the referral source. And again, this costs zero money, $0. So that is a huge way to do it. Now, if you're in an office, brick and mortar office, and your company does If they do, weekly sales meetings, or they do different training meetings, what you can do is even do a commercial update, right? You could do a 10-minute commercial update in your weekly team meeting, or maybe even 5 minutes. It doesn't matter. All that really matters is you getting up in front of your other agents and them seeing you as a resource for them. That is the biggest thing. I mean, if you can leverage other agents in your office giving you commercial business, that's probably the best thing you can do. It doesn't cost you any money, and referrals are some of the highest quality leads you can get, right? So, okay, let's see. Got a couple new comments here. Yes, you can represent the tenant to negotiate a lease renewal. If you're familiar with leases, if you're not familiar with leases, you may actually want to refer that out to someone who does. Okay, what is your opinion of obtaining commercial business by representing tenants whose leases are about to expire and the realtor represent the tenant? Again, yeah, you certainly can, and that's one business model a lot of commercial agents have, is they just do leasing, or they supplement leasing with sales. But I would say if you're going to represent tenants on renegotiating leases, you really need to be up to speed with the leasing aspect. So I would imagine you've gone through all of our training and you kind of understand how leasing works. And right now we don't have an advanced leasing class, but I would seek out local training or any other training that talks about leasing in particular. So that's one of those things where you really want to make sure you know what you're doing for leasing, because you can lock someone into a long-term agreement, which can have serious long-term consequences or opportunities, right? So I would just say if you're going to do that, make sure that you're very well educated in how leasing works. So we kind of talked about referrals from other agents in your office. I mean, that's a great low-cost way to do it. The second low-cost thing is I would ask you, do you have investors right now? Or do you have investors that you've sold property to in the past? Have you sold someone an investment property? Have you sold anyone a duplex? Have you sold anyone a triplex or a fourplex? Or maybe you've even sold them a multifamily property, 5 units and up. What I want you to do is I want you to make a list of those people. Go back to whatever database you have, grab their phone number or email, and contact them and let them know about the opportunity of commercial that can really benefit them. So, for example, if you have a client right now who has 3 or 4 single-family homes, right? What we want to do is we want to convert them to commercial. So the question is, okay, so why would someone want to convert their residential investment portfolio into commercial? Why the heck would they want to do that, right? Well, there's a lot of reasons why, and hopefully we explain that well enough in the training, but some of the reasons are certain types of commercial real estate don't really have any maintenance, right? There's properties with no maintenance, or there's properties with less maintenance. There's properties with longer term leases, which grant stability and income, right? Taxes, who's paying the property taxes? Is it a commercial tenant that's paying the property taxes, or is it the property owner in a single family home? Maintenance. Perhaps some of these investors who own homes have just gone through a local storm in their weather, and now they've got all these fences down, right? And so they're going, man, I got like 4 properties and all their fences are down. This is going to cost me like $5,000 per house, because we got fences on 3 sides that are all crumbling. So now I got to put $20,000 into these properties. Again, commercial, is that the same? Probably not. So look towards the advantages of owning commercial versus the disadvantages of owning residential. And then highlight those to your investors. So you could say, you know what, Jake, we've represented you on a couple duplex sales, and I know those are doing really well for you, but I'd like to show you something different. Do you have 30 minutes or an hour to come into my office this week? I really don't want to explain it over the phone. What I want to do is I want to sit down with you because I think I have another option for you that you may like, which may grant you, less work or more income or some sort of benefit that they're not receiving right now, and get them into the office and turn them into residential listings in a commercial sale. We're actually doing that in the brokerage right now. That is one of our primary business models. And what we're doing is we're just farming out the residential property sales to a local guy here in our area who happens to have a radio show. And so we're, feeding back and forth, right? We're feeding this kind of business funnel, and it's working out great so far. A lot of quality leads have been generated. A lot of broker opinion to values have been done, or CMAs, for many millions of dollars in real estate. We just started this a few weeks ago. So this is something that your competition is not doing, which is a fantastic opportunity, right? So if we take some of these ideas, right, we take an idea such as getting rid of these single-family homes and transitioning into commercial. You take that one message, and then you broadcast it to all of our different marketing sources, right? Broadcast it to the agents in our office. We broadcast it to our current clients. Maybe we broadcast it through an advertisement on LoopNet, or maybe it's an advertisement on Facebook, or it's a post on Facebook that we say, hey, here's a cool new opportunity for all of my real estate friends. Here's something that you can do. Again, you're trying to elicit some sort of response, some sort of engagement with these folks, and you will. You absolutely will get response and engagement from these folks, and some maybe they're not ready to pull the trigger on something like that. But guess what? When you start educating people about the options that they don't know about currently, then they feel empowered that they've got some cool idea, and then guess what? They want to share it with their friends, because guess what? People like to brag to their friends and to their contacts and their family of, hey, I just learned this cool new thing that you probably don't know. Ha ha ha. Let me show you what this is, and this is what I just learned, and I think I'm going to do this, and people will naturally start conversations around it, and pretty soon now you're the contact that everyone knows for this particular strategy. Now that's just one strategy. There's multiple strategies. You can, maybe it's not transitioning from residential property to commercial property. Maybe you've got a list of clients that are business owners, and maybe they're currently leasing, or maybe they're currently buying, or they already did buy, but maybe they're currently owning a space, and maybe they've got some desire deep within them to expand, and you call these people or email these people, reach out to them however you see fit, and say, hey, Susie, hope your business is going great. I just want to see, how your business is going, and if you need any more space, or if you want to consolidate or anything like that, just let me know. And again, you can put yourself out there for that. So the cool thing about commercial is there's so many different little niches, and specialties, and conversations you can have that really, the sky's the limit. Now, obviously, you don't want to try to do everything, right? So I would say pick something that kind of interests you. If you like investment houses, if you personally like them, and you personally like investment property, just in general, then go after the investment market. If you really like businesses and business owners and retail establishments and office buildings, and you want to if you want to help franchisees grow and you want to help them do leasing, or if you want to help them acquire buildings so that they can put in a new location, start having those conversations with those buyers. And if you don't have any of those buyers right now and you want those buyers, then by all means you're probably going to have to advertise your network to find them. But you can do that over time. I guess what we really want to do for the moment is figure out where the quickest source of business is, because once you start selling property, right, you're going to have money to reach out. You're going to have resources. You're going to have more resources than you currently have. But we've got to start somewhere. So these two particular things, reaching out to other agents, right, and reaching out to your current sphere of influence, are probably the most immediate sources of business and probably the most immediate sources of free business that you can have. So if you've got a piece of paper, I hope you're writing this down, and hopefully you're getting some cool ideas out of this. Now, if you want to do advertising, really the name of the game in advertising is this. You spend $1 to get $1.50, or you spend $1 to get $2. And the more that you can amplify this or scale, right? This is where scaling comes into play. The more you can scale this $1 to $2 or $1 to $1.25, as long as you're spending money to make more money, you can continue on this cycle, and advertising is a good thing to do. Now, the problem that people have when they go to advertising, and when agents have when they go to advertising, is they'll spend money for one campaign or maybe two campaigns, and maybe they'll run it for like a month, maybe a week, maybe a month, maybe longer. But that's like a small percentage of people. And so what people do is they spend a lot of money right up front. They don't get the results they're looking for, and then they quit and move on to something else. But all you have to do, if you want to do online advertising, is you just start small, but you stay consistent. It's like when I was doing the Zillow or Trulia. They actually wanted you to do it for 6 months, and they would actually lock you in for 6 months. It's because they know that agents would quit after 1 month or 2 months not seeing results, and they would get frustrated and go somewhere else. So what they decided to do was extend it to 6 months, where they kind of made these agents commit to 6 months of doing it. So the agents themselves actually got a better result in the end because they actually stuck with it longer. And then they also made more money by selling, ads for longer periods of time. So it was kind of a win-win situation for everyone. And it's a model that works. So what you do is you can use that model for any sort of online ad buy, whether you're buying banners or Facebook ads or Google ads or Bing ads. It doesn't really matter. What you want to do is you want to come up with a plan and then execute the plan, do it over a period of time, and then you will see results. I mean, that's why you see all of these marketers on Facebook, and you see the same ads over and over. And if you go onto their website, and then you're retargeted onto their website, and you keep seeing their ads over and over, and then eventually you're like, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to try this because I see them everywhere. They seem to have a legit message. What do I have to lose, right? If I don't get the results, then okay, I can move on, or they've got a money back guarantee. But let's try it and see what happens. So people eventually do it. So you can put yourself in that place. People who are doing the Facebook ads or any sort of ad placement, and if they continue to do it for more than 6 months, if you keep seeing them year after year, guess what? They are making money at it, or else they would not be doing it. Usually people test certain things for a couple months, 6 months, to see if it's profitable, and they have many changes within that period of time. but they're testing and tuning as they're going. And you can do the same thing. There's tons of resources out there for for Facebook ads or LinkedIn or whatever you want to do. There are people out there who are experts in that particular field who can help you get results. It just depends on how much, obviously your budget is for something like this. So, some of the resources that you may want to use, and I've got some resources here that I've used and I've got results from, and I'm currently using or I have used with success. If you're wanting to do marketing, if you really want to drive leads, if you really want to up your marketing game, I've got a couple people that you can get their free stuff. You can subscribe to their feeds or blogs or whatever, or you can buy their programs. But here are some. If you want to do video, one guy I follow who does awesome video, and he's got a thriving business. He went from 0 to 100,000 to 400,000 to 700,000 to, I'm sure this year he's going to be doing several million. His name is James Wedmore. He's all about teaching how to do video and YouTube and that kind of thing. He's a great resource. That's James Wedmore, Wedmore. You can YouTube him, and he's got a bunch of free stuff. And then when you want to, pay for training, you can certainly do so. Frank Kern, and if you've been in the internet, if you've been interested in internet marketing over time, and I'm sure you've heard the name Frank Kern. He is the #1 internet marketer in the world, and his platform is Facebook. His whole principle is, I spend $1 on Facebook, I get $1.50 in return. Therefore, I'm going to spend $100,000 this month, and I'm going to get $150,000 this month, or whatever it is. But it's all about dollars in versus dollars out, and making that a machine that basically prints money. I'm going to put $1 in, it's going to work, and I'm going to get $1.50 out. So if you really want to nail online lead generation and sales, really look at Frank Kern or Digital Marketer. Digital Marketer is one I use. They have a lot of email campaigns and quick, what do they call them? I think it's, they've got a program called DM Lab, Digital Marketer Lab, and they've got what's called execution plans. And it's a kind of a simple way to implement a lead generation strategy. And I think that one's like $38 a month or something ridiculously cheap. But if you look at digitalmarketer.com, you find Frank Kern, and you'll start to see what's working for internet marketing if you want to go down that road. Now, if you want to go down more of the phone call sales, more of the direct sales approach, then you'll look at someone like Grant Cardone, right, and his 10x philosophy, or hiring a local sales coach would also work well for a lot of people. We have, for the brokerage, we have a local guy, and he actually happens to be a top level guy, but he's a local sales coach, and he helps us with sales. So it depends on what you want to do, but I would just say this: seek additional education for whatever subject that you want to get into, and do not be afraid to spend money. And I would actually say this: it's better if you do spend money to learn things rather than free things, because when you just look at free things, your mind is not committed to it because it's free. You have no buy-in. But when you do pay for something, you absolutely have buy-in. And your brain realizes, ouch, I just spent $500, or I just spent, $5,000, or whatever it is, and I'm going to make darn sure that I go through this training and really take it seriously. When people get access for free to things, they just simply don't take it seriously. I think it's just human nature. It's not that they don't appreciate the content, but it's just they don't have that buy-in. When someone buys something for $500 or or a couple $1,000s for a specific training program, it does hurt a little bit. It's like, ouch, that was like 4 car payments or 3 car payments, or, that was like a rent or a mortgage payment. That was huge, right? And so they've got the buy-in, they got the financial buy-in. There's no other way around it. You get it for free and you just take it for granted and you don't go through it. So it's almost better and more effective if you go and buy someone's training program versus watching all of their YouTube videos, right, and reading all of their blogs and not doing a darn thing about it. So just wanted to throw that straight talk rant out there. Okay, so we talked a little bit about this. What are you guys' thoughts? Would you like me to expand on any of these ideas further? Do you want to run a specific idea past me to see what I think about it? Let me know. Enter it in that questions pane. Okay. Please expand on lead generation for face-to-face in-person contact versus digital online lead generation. So you want to talk more about face-to-face in person? And this particular one is not necessarily my strong suit. It's actually Steve Harper's strong suit. So he does what he does, and then I do what I do. I kind of more focus on online lead gen, and then he talks about face-to-face. But what I can tell you, when he's talking with folks face-to-face and getting a good response, is he always has, he's always vibrant, right? He talks fast, and people really sense his passion when he's speaking. That right there is probably the most important thing you can have. Remember, communication is only, 7% verbal, right? The rest of it is body language and tonality. So when you're face-to-face, or maybe you're, over the phone, voice inflection is more important than what you're actually saying in content, right? So when he's face-to-face, he's very energetic. He uses his hands a lot, right? And people sense out his energy and passion, and then people naturally build rapport with him. So the horn honking in the background. So the whole thing is building rapport with face-to-face and in-person contact. Because even if you have the best offer in the world and you cannot build rapport with these people, whether they're just basic leads that you just met, or you've been nurturing them for a while in your CRM or whatever, if you cannot build rapport with these people, it does not matter. You just won't get the business. And someone comes across like Steve, and he will get the business just because of his personality. So if you are that person, that can be great. For me, I've got to do it a little bit differently. If I'm going face-to-face, I really need to dig into their concerns and really ask deep questions when I'm consulting with them, right? I want to go levels deep, right? I want to dig in deep into the conversation and spend more time listening than talking. For guys like Steve, when they talk a lot, people will naturally build rapport, and they'll trust them. You can also do this. You can also build the same level of trust by going deep questions, so they get, at the end of the conversation, like, wow, that Steve Walters guy, man, he really seems on top of things. He was asking me really, really deep questions, and he just really understands. So again, that is very important, is to build rapport. And then digital online lead generation, again, you still need to build rapport, but it's a different animal. One of the things that people see a lot of hype out there, right? Just starting a few weeks ago, I keep seeing all these Facebook ads for it's like rementor.com, and it's like teaching people how they can flip apartments with zero down and zero zero income and bad credit, and we're going to give we've got $500,000 in free money that you can use to flip apartments. And people are just people get so skeptical, and they've been abused for so long with all of this hypiness from TV infomercials. God, there's another guy on TV. he's just blasting the airwaves. I think it's like NV Real Estate or something like that, on how you can flip all these houses. And he's got this cool infomercial. And every morning at the gym, his infomercial is on. It's like home, like every day. It's ridiculous. So people are being fed all of this hype, and it's so easy to do, and all this. So people are very skeptical to begin with. So when you're doing online lead generation, I think it's best to just be real, to not promise the moon, to give people, communicate as best you can with your value proposition, but don't fluff it up and hype it up so much that it just has that, creepy feeling where, you read it and now you got to take a shower because you feel slimy, right? We don't want that. But just having, honest offers in the online lead generation and doing it a little bit differently than, some of the gurus out there, I think will elicit a good response. One of the reasons why so many people gravitate towards Frank Kern is because he's not a hype machine. So he offers more value than hype, and that's the real reason why he's the number one in the online digital marketing and lead generation, right? So see what other people are doing in your industry or in the market. Take some things that you like and utilize what works, and then put your own spin on it, and just be real with people. I think that's really what they want anyway. They don't want you to promise them the moon by tomorrow, right? People are realistic. I hope that answers that particular question. And I see you also have a follow-up. Okay. And Sylvia is ruling the questions box. So if anyone else out there has a question, let me know. But yes, Sylvia. Okay, so let's follow up. So door-to-door knocking for residential is easy because of the information I could provide, but I'm perplexed on services to offer commercial as if I'm missing something. So you're talking about going door-to-door commercial. And I will tell you that a lot of times this is a strategy that other commercial brokers use. And so what they'll do is they'll get a brochure, they'll get a flyer, maybe it's the local listings, or maybe it's a value proposition flyer, something about their company, very old school, what's in it for me type of thing. But what they do is they go to different office buildings, and then they walk into each suite, and then they hand off their packet, right, or their swag, or whatever you want to call it, propaganda. So you can use that same thing, and you can go into office buildings and give your packet to the front desk, or when you get to the front desk, ask them if the office manager is in, something like that, and you can actually drop off and go door to door, business to business. I know an asset management company in my area, and I'm actually my mother works there, and she tells me all the time that agents will walk in her door, whether they're from CBRE or TRI or Voight or any other commercial company, and they will stop by and say, hey, are you guys thinking about selling, or do you guys have any assets that need to be sold? Because they're an asset management company, and so they're really trying to get that business from the asset managers. And so they do pop buys every other week or once a month, something like that, and then they give their brochures and whatever to be top of mind for them. So they just go door to door within each office building, and then they drive to the next office building and do the same thing. I haven't heard of it in retail, but I imagine people are doing it in retail as well. The problem is you got to have an office manager or an owner in the retail establishment, because if you're going into a Subway, and you've got the people making the sandwiches, well, obviously that's going to fall on deaf ears, and it's just going to go right into the garbage, and you're wasting your time. But you can do stuff like that. It's just how you do it and what your strategy is. But as far as the services, it's whatever you want. If you want to do leasing, go after office buildings who are probably leasing. If you go into a large office building, it's probably everyone in there is probably leasing. If you go into a real small office building, they probably own it. So again, you just kind of have to, and this will come with experience as well, but you can do that. It just, if you want to try it, print up a brochure on maybe some value offers, maybe some current market trends. You could offer market trends or what kind of lease rates you're going for in the market. You could offer to do a analysis on their property. You could do a rent survey and offer that to them. Basically be a resource and be helpful. Generally, people like to do business with people that they know, like, and trust, and if you provide value to them over time, they generally will start to get to know you and maybe even start to like you, hopefully, right? And then eventually, they'll do business with you. Okay. My commercial business cards wouldn't have any CRE or CCIM or other stuff. It makes me wonder what others wonder without such credentials where I am targeting the business world. The reality is there's about like 1,000 CCIMs in the country, or maybe it's 1,200. It's about 1,200 CCIM people. So not all commercial people are CCIM. I would probably estimate only 10% are. And those are going to be the more experienced people who have been in the business for 10 years, because they're probably not going to get into commercial with brand new CCIM. That's not going to happen. These are the people who have been in the industry 10 years. They go, okay, I'm in this industry. I want to get more education and knowledge about the investment side of things, working the numbers, and I want to have the CCIM, and then they go through the training. And it can take a couple of years to do so, and it can take a little bit of coin, right? It can take 10 grand or 15 grand to do it. But if you're in this industry and you're going to be in this industry, then go through the CCIM training. It's different than our training. Their training is mostly focused on a large-scale investment analysis that you would need if you're managing REITs or you're managing multiple assets. It doesn't really teach you how to sell commercial. It's not like a brokerage-specific thing. They target it to brokers because obviously they want to be educated, but it's going to teach you all about the financial aspects of real estate and even business. So what I would say is, if you have not already got your CPP designation, finish the classes. Just time block maybe an hour a day or a couple hours a week, and hammer down and get the training done. Take the test. If you don't pass the test, guess what? You can take it again, and then get your CPP designation. Put that on your card, and now you've got something, right? Now you've got some sort of street cred, right? So you can say, there's a lot of agents, that do residential and commercial, and they don't really have any education, but I do have education. I've got a commercial property practitioner designation, and here's what I've learned. I learned about multifamily and retail, and office, and what clients want, and about the properties themselves, and kind of how they operate, so I can help you with your 12-unit apartment complex, Mr. Seller, right? So use that. I mean, you're obviously in the training. Get your CPP designation. And CPP designation, it may not be recognized nationwide in all markets, but you're not concerned with other agents. Okay, let me just make that clear right now. Do not be concerned with what other agents think of you, no matter if you're CCIM or not. Do not compare yourself to other agents and brokers. Don't do it. It's a losing battle. There's nothing to be gained for it. The only person you should be in competition with is yourself, and recognition with yourself and your own growth. So really what you want is the designation helps you in the eyes. First of all, it helps you with your own confidence, but secondly, it helps in the eyes of a consumer, right? For those small amount of consumers that want to see some sort of designation, they've kind of been trained that realtors like to have designations across their title, GRI and an SFR, and there's probably 20 others that the realtor brand advocates. But you don't need a whole bunch of designations. really you want to feel confident, and people honestly they don't really care too much that if you're a CCAM or not. All they want to know is that you can actually help them and you follow through with what you say and what you do. That's the bottom line. Steve, you mentioned that you started in residential and changed to commercial real estate. Are you currently a producing commercial agent? Over the last year, I actually stopped selling properties and focused more on this particular company, Straight Talk Schools, Inc. Now, we do have brokers in the office here. So I primarily do the education now, just because someone has to actually run this company, right? And then the other partner, Dusty, which you've seen probably a couple other training videos, they are running the brokerage. So what we do is we almost kind of have like this, it's kind of a weird like synergy. I don't know what it is, but so we all work in the brokerage as far as marketing and networking, that kind of thing. But I'm not really involved on the deal side. But just an FYI, these guys, and I have been a part of some of the deals, but we're talking $50 million in volume in 2016. So it was, well, you can do the math on the commissions, but yeah, it was just, I think it was just under $50 million in volume. So, and those were through several different property types, market types, going after franchisees, that sort of thing. And there was a couple big transactions that were into play. Just FYI, one of those was 14 million bucks, and the other one was like 8 million bucks. So there was a couple that were some big deals. But all you really need is, hey, if you just have one $5 million deal a year, that's awesome. That's like 200 grand. Okay, maybe not 200 grand. Maybe it's like $150,000, which is pretty powerful. All right. Well, I hope you guys learned a lot of stuff. If you have any more questions or concerns, send me an email. You know which email addresses to use. So I want to thank you, and I will see you next time.